That was when he noticed. Where's Snake? Junpei swept his eyes across the room a second time, but Snake was nowhere to be seen. Does that mean that he found them? I have no idea. There's nothing to suggest it, but nothing to suggest he didn't either. Well, I don't suppose we'll know until we can ask him in person. Well, whatever. Whatever he did or didn't do, he's pretty damn late. Hell is he up to?
Or maybe he's lost.
Yeah, well, that seems likely. Dude can't see. I don't know how he gets around in the first place. Clover raised her head.
No! That's impossible!
Suddenly she was shouting.
Yeah, my brother's blind, but he's got really great hair and stuff, and he can get around as well as anyone else. So he couldn't get lost. That's impossible!
Clover had started to shake, and the knuckles of her hands had gone white. This girl is really wrapped around a bit tight, isn't she? She spun around, but before she did, Junpei noticed tears welling up in her eyes.
I'm gonna go look for him.
The words were barely out of her mouth when she began to run. Hey! Hold on, Clover, wait! Junpei cried out to her, but he was too slow. She kept going, and before anyone else could react, she was gone. Damn it! What should we do now? Well, the red is working now.
No, we're not leaving two people behind. We should go look for him.
Oh man, this ain't good. Oh yes, well, an excellent idea. We just wasted a bunch of time looking for some piece of electronic junk. Let's waste some more time by looking for a couple of idiots. Then remain here if you feel you must, but there's no time. We've only 5 hours left. Junpei and the others nodded to one another and took off at a run. In front of the stairs that led to B deck, they decided to split up. They quickly assigned search areas and went their separate ways. Soon, only 2 of them were left. Those 2 were Junpei and June, who had been a few steps behind the others.
Alright, we should go too.
Oh wait, whoops.
Yeah, let's go. but where should we start?
Let's see. Okay, let's think. Was there anything in the casino that we didn't grab? No. In the first class cabin, however, there was that one box that needed a certain numerical code to open. So this would be possibly something to look into. The hallway of all the rooms? I guess everyone else is going there. So I say we go here. What about the first class cabin on B deck?
Alright, sounds good.
They took off up the stairs at a run. Outside the first class cabin, they found Clover. She was standing in front of the wall. She was staring at a meaningless point on the wall, her eyes blank. Whoops. What should Junpei do? Well, I guess the natural thing to do would be to talk to her. Are you alright? He did his best to sound friendly, but Clover didn't respond. Look, I know you're really worried, but, he could think of no words to say that didn't sound hollow and fake. Junpei hesitated. Clover was so consumed by worry and fear that Junpei feared it would crush her. Her actions didn't surprise him. She had suddenly lost her brother, who she seemed to have had been very close to.
Lone. So lonely.
Her voice was thin and barely audible.
Lone.
The hell?
Lone. I said leave me alone!
Suddenly she was screaming.
You're so annoying! Just go away, leave me alone! Just looking at you guys pisses me off! Go away, okay? Just go somewhere else! Stop bothering me!
What the fuck? Junpei was taken aback. Such anger and hate. June's eyes had gone wide with such surprise as well.
Why are you still here? Did you hear me? Fine, forget it! If you aren't gonna leave, then I'll just...
Alright. Let's go, June.
Yeah.
Shit. They turned and left Clover. As they did, Junpei glanced over his shoulder to see Clover wiping tears from her face. Clover had driven home the misery of their situation, but Junpei told himself that getting depressed would get him nowhere but depressed. For Clover's sake, they had to find Snake, and fast. He did his best to push away the misery and depression and forced a smile. So where do you think we should go next? Let's try the casino then, I guess. How about a casino?
Yeah, let's go take a look.
They turned and headed off down the hallway to their right at a jog. Before they knew it, they were there. So was Lotus. She was leaning against the wall, examining her nails. Hey, what do you think you're doing? She glanced up at him unimpressed. Isn't it obvious? I'm looking for Snake. I'm just not seeing it. Really? Maybe you need to look harder then. Junpei didn't think that was the problem. Oh, by the way, I've got a proposal for you two. Care to hear it? Okay. What is it? Well, I don't like to be around the bush and all that, so I'll get straight to it. Why don't we team up? Team up? Yeah! What? You need me to explain it to you? You stupid? Is that what you is? You stupid? I'm saying, why don't we go through a numbered door?
Even if we wanted to, that's impossible.
Why?
Jumpy's bracelet number is 5 and mine is 6 and yours is 8. Our dish to room would be 1. You're stupid! You're stupid! Or you big old titties! Or you're stupid! There's no number 1 door in the large hospital room. The only doors there are 3, 7, and 8.
Then we had another person.
Huh?
Who? What? Isn't that easy? 7. She was right. They added 7. Then the 4 of them would be able to go through the number 8 door. But... Whoa, hold on a sec. What about the other 4? And why don't you add them up? That was simple enough. The digital route for those 4 would be 1. That's right. And you know the number 1 door isn't in the big hospital room, right? Well, of course I know that! God!
No! Are you saying you'd leave them behind?
Of course not! What kind of woman do you think I am? Once we get off this ship, we could come back and rescue them, couldn't we? Then we wouldn't really be leaving them behind.
Don't try to lie to us. I don't think you'd do anything of the sort.
Really? Why do you think that? Huh? You wanna go? You wanna go?
You remember, don't you? We have less than 5 hours left. Even if we manage to escape, there's no way we could get back to rescue them in less than 5 hours.
Well, you never know until you try. No. You're not thinking this through. Even if we brought 7 with us, we wouldn't be able to get off the ship. The 4 of us couldn't open door 9. It is hidden, but an exit can be found. Seek a way out. Seek a door that carries a 9.
Yeah! Yeah, that's right! The additional route for us 4 would be 8, so we'd have to add ace to make it 9.
Right. Unless we bring Ace too, we'll be stuck. Lotus scratched the back of her ear. Ugh. That's unfortunate. She didn't sound particularly bothered by what Junpei said. Nor did she seem particularly surprised.
Let's try and find another way, okay? Way to get out of here with all 8 of us.
That's impossible. You're stupid. You're stupid. You're flat chasing. You're stupid. You being serious? You are, Arka. You're so stupid. You do know that only 5 people at most can go through one of the numbered doors, right? Right? The number 9 isn't gonna be an exception to that rule. Regardless, at least 3 people get left behind. You're right. That is true. The moment he said it, Junpei felt a chill run down his spine. It was true. How Lotus could remain cavalier about such a terrifying thing was beyond him. When he found the number 9, they would have to choose which 3 of them would die. Lotus's forehead furrowed. Do you think I could have a moment alone? There's some things I need to think about. Junpei and June turned and began walking away from Lotus. Talking to her had left them feeling ill. Junpei's heart felt heavy and his steps sluggish. But he told himself pessimism would get them nowhere. So he forced himself to smile and turned to June. Let's focus on finding Snake for now, okay?
Yeah, you're right. We can think about those other things later.
Junpei nodded. Alright, where should we go next? I'm not gonna go to the first class cabin because we've already been there. Let's head to the hallway down with the rooms. Let's go back downstairs and check out the hallway with all the doors. They took off at a run and down the stairs. Ahead of them, far down the hallway, they spotted Ace. Hey! Snake! Snake, where are you? You answer me if you're there. Junpei paused. What did he want to do? Huh. With June in tow, Junpei jogged up to Ace. Hearing their footsteps, he turned to greet them. Ah, hello there. Snake is, well, it's obvious, isn't it? I assume you haven't found him yet either. Junpei nodded.
I really wonder where he could have gone.
Well, wherever he's disappeared to, we must find him as quickly as we can, for Clover's sake.
Right.
June's face looked kind of enraptured. I'm trying to picture how you could express enrapture on your face. By the way, do you think Clover and Snake are really siblings? Nah. Why would you say that? Why would you say that? The question seems somehow odd to Junpei. Why? Well, it's obvious, isn't it? They don't look alike at all. Ace looked at him for a moment, and then spoke. Yes, you know, now that you mention it, they don't. Now that you mention it... Still, there are a great many siblings who do not look like one another. It certainly isn't rare. Junpei wasn't sure why, or even if he was seeing what he thought he was, but he could have sworn that Ace's face tightened as he spoke. At any rate, we must find Snake as soon as possible. The clock is ticking. We can't afford to waste any time. Very well. Let's go back to the search, shall we? You can leave this area to me.
Alright. Let's go, Jumpy.
My name's not Jumpy! At June's urging, they left. Alright, let's head back to the place with the beds. They found themselves back at the stairs, but Junpei's mind was in turmoil. There was so much to think about, but it would have to be put aside for now. As Ace had said, finding Snake was their top priority. Junpei did his best to clear his mind. Alright, where should we go next? Why don't we go back to the big hospital room?
Okay. Let's go then.
They turned and headed back toward the large hospital room. On their way to the large hospital room, Junpei and June noticed Santa standing next to the number 3 door. Junpei paused. What should Junpei do? Junpei and June walked up to Santa. What are you doing? What, you can't tell? I'm checking out the red.
Why, is there something bothering you?
What, it's not bothering you?
Huh?
This! The guts of the red. Why wouldn't you wonder who the hell put it back in here?
Yeah, that's true. And I'm curious too, but...
Who do you think did it? Santa's eyes narrowed as he looked at June. She shook her head.
I don't know.
Well, what about you, Junpei? Who do you think fixed the thing for us? Oh. Whoops, 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 whoops. Maybe there's someone else on this ship with us. You mean someone hiding here? Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just an idea. You're saying this mystery person fixed the reds? Yep. Why? That's, I don't know. Santa shoved his hands into his pockets and cracked his knuckles. It seems unlikely. Why? I don't know, just a feeling. Hard to believe Zero'd bring a secret 10th player. I mean, the name of the game is the nonary game, for Christ's sake. You know what nonary means, right? It means 9. No, that's not what I meant. I mean, more like someone who's been living here for a long time. Or someone who'd, like, stayed here. Seriously? That's even more ridiculous. Why do you think Zero would leave them alone? Junpei furrowed his brow. So in other words, one of us is the person who fixed the red? Santa grinned. Bingo. We have a winner. But if that's true, then the person who did it doesn't want the rest of us to know they fixed a red. Yeah. But why? I have no idea. Maybe if they come clean on that, it means we find out something else, something bad. Something bad? I don't know. But whatever it is, it's gotta be worth hiding. Of course, it could have something to do with Snake's disappearance. You think maybe they did something to Snake? It's not out of the question. Junpei stared at Santa. There was something about him that made Junpei wary. At first he assumed the other man wasn't terribly clever, but Junpei was beginning to think he would need to reevaluate that assessment. When Santa spoke again, his voice was quiet. Look, if you trust anybody in this game, you're gonna lose. You've got to be careful. The person you trust the most could turn out to be the person who stabs you in the back. With that depressing suggestion, he turned and quietly walked away. Junpei and June looked at one another and smiled awkwardly. Where would they go next? I guess we're finished searching. They looked everywhere they could think of, but Snake was nowhere to be found. Lotus looked around at 6 frustrated faces and spoke. We can't keep looking for Snake. Wherever he is, it ain't here. We need to get moving. Junpei couldn't disagree with what she was saying. Snake seemed to have completely disappeared. There was no point of wasting any more time. The others seemed to be having similar thoughts, but they stayed silent. Finally, Seven spoke. We don't got no choice. Lotus is right. We're not gonna find Snake. That is a problem, though. We've got to figure out who's gonna go through which door. Yeah. I have a proposal. She walked back and forth across the floor, her heels clicking against the wood. Finally, she stopped. Right then, why don't we decide on one person to sacrifice? Sacrifice? Well, perhaps that's a bit of a harsh word, but yeah. You all figured out by now, haven't you? Come on. We can't all make it through those doors. If we split into 2 teams of 4 and 3 people respectively, then 3 people will be left behind. If we split into 2 teams of 5 and 2 people respectively, then 2 people will be left behind. But if we split into 2 groups of 3 and leave 1 person out, then only 1 person will be left behind. Leaving behind 3 people with 2 teams of 4 and 3? Oh man, I'm just trying to crunch these numbers. Additional root. Is she right? Okay, Lotus, me, and June add up to 8. Ace is 1. Then there's 7. And no, wait, 1, 7, and then what number was Santa? 3? I think it was 3, wasn't he? That okay. Oh man, I'm trying to think. Hold on. Leaving behind 3 people with 2 teams of 4 and 3. I'm not sure, so I'm just gonna go with that. Junpei wasn't quite sure that was true. Wait a minute. 2 people get left behind if we split into 5 and 2. And 1 person's left behind if we split into 3, 3 and 1. I got that part. You can't go through the numbered doors with any less than 3 people. But if we split into 4 and 3, then why do 3 people have to be left behind? Just run the numbers, dickhead. Let's say we go through door 7 with 1, 4, 5 and 6. Who's left over? That would be 3, 7 and 8. And what's the digital root of that? 9. Exactly. But door 9 isn't here, right? That means 3, 7 and 8 won't be going anywhere. That was just an example, of course. There are a lot of different combinations, but the result will always be the same. It doesn't matter which 4 it is, the 3 that are left over can't go through any of the doors. Go ahead and calculate if you have the time. You'll see. Anyway, that's how it is. Now, if we can get back to my proposal. We only have to sacrifice 1 person if we split into 3, 3 and 1. When Seven spoke, his voice was strained. Then, you're saying we gotta decide who's gonna stay behind? Yeah, we do. Given our circumstances, it's logical and morally the best solution. If the other 6 are to survive, then one person has to sacrifice themselves.
No, that's too cruel. No. Everything should be nice and made of rainbows and stuff, you big titty bitch.
And what's so cruel about it, kid?
To just sacrifice someone like that. No!
And what's your plan? Maybe we should sacrifice 2 people instead of just 1.
That's not what I meant, motherfucker, and you know it. We shouldn't sacrifice anyone.
I told you that's impossible. Wake up! Whoa, calm down, you 2. Santa stepped between Lotus and June. Look, what Lotus is trying to say is that you should aim to bring the greatest amount of happiness to the greatest amount of people, right? Exactly. That's how democracy works. For that reason, I think the only fair way to decide who'll be sacrificed is through a vote. What do you think?
No! Sunshine and rainbows! Sunshine and fucking rainbows!
I'm not asking you! Shut up! What about you, Santa? Me? Well, I agree, I guess. Alright then. That's 1 vote for. Counting mine, that's 2. 7. I can't say I agree with you, but we don't exactly have a choice. If we don't do something, we're all gonna die. Well, I'm glad to see you get it. If I can get 1 more vote, then it's decided. What about you, Clover? Clover moved away from the group and was sitting on one of the beds. Her whole body drooped. Junpei didn't know if she'd even heard Lotus's proposal. Lotus walked over to Clover and gently laid a hand on her shoulder. Your brother has to be behind one of the numbered doors. We searched everywhere, but we didn't find him. Doesn't that mean he has to have gone through one of them somehow? Clover slowly lifted her face. Let's go look for him together, right? If we sacrifice 1 person, then we can go and look for him. You agree with me, right? Clover nodded once. The motion carries. Lotus spun around and walked toward Junpei. Now let's start a vote too. That won't be necessary. Ace had barely spoken for Lotus's entire speech, but everyone jumped a little. 6 pairs of eyes turned to look to him. He didn't seem to notice or even care. I will stay. That should solve our problem, yes?
Hey, Snow! Sunshine and rainbows, motherfucker! Yeah, no! You can't do that! I won't solve anything!
June's voice shook and she looked around desperately for someone to agree with her. Ace simply looked at her. June, I'm afraid you may have misunderstood me. I said I would stay, but I never said I would sacrifice myself.
Huh?
I trust you, each and every one of you. I believe you'll come back for me. Whoa. There's optimistic and then there's just nuts. Those doors only go one way. You go in, you don't come out. If we go through them, you won't be able to return, correct? Well, yeah. True, but that will not be the case once you've escaped from the ship. What? Please, I beg you, once you've escaped, come back and rescue me. Ideally within the time limit Zero's given us. No, that's ridiculous. There's no way we could get back in time. Finally, Junpei could hold his tongue no longer. We've only got 5 hours left. We don't even know where the hell we are. How on earth are we gonna find someone to come and rescue you? Then perhaps you would prefer to stay instead of me. Or perhaps you'd be willing to leave June behind. Ace's voice was dignified and without a hint of cruelty or malice. Junpei had no rebuttal. You see, there's no other choice. Now I see we've come to our conclusion. Go on. Don't worry yourselves about me. Go quickly. Junpei stood frozen by indecision, unable to move. June bit her lips so hard that Junpei feared she would break the skin. Santa stood against a wall, calm and aloof. Seven tore his beanie from his head and turned it over anxiously in his hands. Only Clover stared at Ace with an expression Junpei was unable to decipher. Lotus's attitude, however, was different from the others. Marvelous! Fantastic! Excellent! Let's accept this kind offer then. She smiled, her eyes bright. Ace answered with a smile of his own. Good. I think this is the best for me. Perhaps I'll be able to take a nap. Perhaps it's my age, but I get tired so easily these days. As he spoke, Ace slowed himself down to the floor next to one of the beds. From somewhere deep in his ship, Junpei suddenly heard the screeching of metal on metal. It was almost as if the ship was screaming. Would it really hold out until the time was up? Already, D-deck was flooded. In the sudden silence, the only sound was the sad metal wail of the ship. Unsurprisingly, it was Lotus who spoke first. Well, what are you waiting for? We're wasting time. Why don't we hurry it up? As if a spell had been broken, the others all began to talk at once. You're right. We should get going. That's all we can do for now.
Seven, motherfucker! Sunshine! Rainbow!
Seriously. Honestly, I was getting kind of sick of listening to you guys talk.
You too, Santa, motherfucker! Yeah, my brother! No. Well, wait, what are you? Let's just calm down and think about this. There has to be a way to get everyone out. There has to be. Right, Jumpy? Say something!
Yeah, let's think. There's gotta be another way. His words sounded hollow and fake.
Fine! Forget about it! I'll figure it out on my own.
She spun around and ran toward Ace. He had slumped down next to the bed when June grabbed his arm and pulled.
Come on, Ace! Please stand up. You can't give up yet. We just have to sit down together and think about this. We'll figure out what we can do to get out of here and stuff.
Then it happened. Uh-oh. Ace? Ace fell forward.